Hello and welcome to our illustration on August 2022 question 2A on impairment of assets. So we have August 2022 question 2A reads that B Limited operates a factory as its sole cash generating unit, CGU, and during the year ended 30th April 2022, there was an explosion at the factory which necessitated an impairment review. The carrying amounts of the factory's assets were as follows. So we have goodwill, patents, machinery, computer equipment, and premises. We have additional information. Number one, an impairment review revealed that the net selling price of 19.2 million and a value in use of 31.2 million for the factory. Half of the machinery had been destroyed and now had no resale value, and the patents have been suspended and are now considered worthless. And we also have number 4, the company follows the cost model as permitted by IAS 16, property, plant and equipment. You are required, using suitable calculations, any impairment loss in the cash generating unit will be accounted for in accordance with IAS 36, impairment of assets. Let's go ahead and attempt the question. And we have impairment of assets and IAS 36, and the question is August 2022 question 2A. Now, the first thing we are going to do, we are going to check whether there is any impairment in that cash generating unit as a whole. And going back to the question, we see that we are told an impairment review on additional information. Number 1, an impairment review revealed that a net selling price of 19.2 million. So we have a net selling price of 19.2 million. So we have a selling price. Remember, okay, let me just write selling price of 19.2 million. We also told that the value in use is 31.2 million. Value in use is 31.2 million. Is 31.2 million, and the recoverable amount will be, so now let's go ahead and compute the recoverable amount. But before we even go there, let's have an overview of how we test for impairment. Remember, on our first lesson, we said that we can conclude that an asset has been impaired if the carrying amount is more than the recoverable amount. Now, the recoverable amount, we compare two things. We compare the net realizable value and the value in use, and we take the one that is higher. So in this case, the net realizable value is the selling price less the cost to sell. And for the value in use, we just compute the cash flows. We just compute the net present value of the cash flows that asset could have generated. In this case, we have a recoverable amount of, let's go ahead and calculate that one. We have been given a value in use of 31.2 million. So value in use is 31.2 million, and the selling price is 19.2 million. So that is the selling price. we have not been told whether the company will incur any cost to sell. So automatically, the higher of the two will be our recoverable amount, which is 31.2 million. 31.2 million. Let's proceed. We need now to check for the carrying amount of that asset, and in this case, going back to the question, we can see that the total, the book value, remember the carrying amount is the book value, and when we add all the components of the cash generating unit, which includes the goodwill, the patents, the machinery, the computer equipment, and the premises, they are giving us a book value of 47.6 million. So that will be our carrying amount, which is the same as the book value. So we have the carrying amount being 47.6 million, which is again more than the recoverable amount, and this means there is an impairment. This means there is an impairment. So our impairment, we can go ahead and compute for impairment. In this case, we will take the carrying amount of 47,600,000 less the recoverable amount of 31,200,000, and if I less 31,200,000 from 47,600, it's giving me 16.4 million. It's giving me 16.4 million. Now that is my impairment. That is my impairment. Let me take you back towards the beginning of our lesson on impairment. We said if at all a cash generating unit has goodwill, one of the components of a cash generating unit is goodwill, we need to write it off. We need to write it off. So we are going to write off goodwill, and there are some other assets that have been affected by the event that took place, or the event that necessitated the impairment review of the cash generating unit, and that information we are given in additional information 2, where we are told that half of the machinery has been destroyed and has no resale value. So which means if machinery is worth 4 million, half of it has been destroyed. So we are going to write off half of the machinery. We also told that patents have been suspended and now considered worthless. So the whole 3.6 million is going to be removed. We are going to write off the whole 3.6 million. And remember, goodwill again is written off. We do not consider goodwill when, as per IAS 36, we do not consider goodwill when calculating for, or when calculating for impairment in a cash generating unit. So let's go ahead and write off those 3 items. So the first one is goodwill. From our table, I can see that goodwill was valued at 2 million. So I less 2 million. I half of the machinery. Again, 2 million. Remember, machinery, the total value of machinery was 4, so half of it is 2. And again, patents have been suspended. So patents of 3.6 million. 3.6 million. Now, what will be my new impairment loss. What will be my balance of impairment loss after removing all this, so that I can distribute this impairment loss among the items in the cash generating unit. So 16.4 minus 2 minus 2 minus 3.6 is giving me 8.8 million. Giving me 8.8 million. That is my new impairment loss. I can prepare a small table to show you what has happened. Now, what has happened is that we had assets here. We have the old carrying amount. We also have the impairment loss. And we also have the new carrying amount. So the assets, we have goodwill. The first asset was goodwill. The old carrying amount was 2 million. I have suspended 3 zeros. Now the impairment loss, we remember we write off goodwill, all of it, so that we are left with 0 or nil in the new carrying amount. So the impairment loss will be 2,000, so that we can write off the goodwill. We also have patents. The old carrying amount was 3.6 million. The impairment loss again was 3.6 million, and we are left with nil. We also have machinery. Machinery, we can divide it into two. The one that was destroyed, which was valued at 2 million, the old carrying amount. The impairment loss again completely destroyed, so 2 million with a nil. New carrying amount is nil. We also have the remaining 2 million. Now we will have to compute the impairment loss for that one. We also have the computer, 8,000. We will need to calculate the impairment loss for that. We also have premises, 30 million. We'll have to compute. Let me write them. Again, let me rewrite them. So computer, 8,000, 8 million, and premises, 30 million. Now let's go ahead and distribute the remaining assets based on their weight. If I were to add the remaining assets, we have the remaining machinery, the remaining computers, and we also have the premises. Those are the remaining assets. And we computed the balance of the impairment loss after removing those, after writing off some few assets and goodwill, was 8.8 million. Now we need to distribute this 8.8 million to the remaining assets based on their weights of their carrying amounts. Based on the weight of their carrying amount. Let's go ahead and do that. So we have total carrying amount. Is given by computer is 8,000, machinery 2,000, that is 10, and premises is 30,000, that will give us 40,000. That will give us 40,000. So let's go ahead and distribute based on weights. So the weight of computers will be 8 over 40. Let me rewrite. The weight of computers will be 8,000 out of 40,000 multiplied by the carrying amount of computers. No, not the carrying amount, but the impairment loss. We want to distribute this impairment loss, which is 8.8 million. So times 8.8 million. We go to the next one of machinery. We have 2 out of 40,000 times 8.8 million. And lastly, we have premises, 30,000 out of 40,000 times 8.8 million. So let me calculate these ones very fast. We have machinery will give us 1760, 1,760,000. This one will give me 440,000, and the last one will give me 6.6 million. 6.6 million. Now those are my, that is the value of the impairment for each of those assets. So the remaining machinery, we have 440. Let me indicate it on my table here. So 440. The remaining computers is 1760. Let me indicate it here on my table, 1760. And the remaining premises, we have 6.6 million, 6.6 million, 6.6 million, so 6,600, like that. Now if I take 2,000 minus 440, that will give me 1560. If I take the new carrying amount now, if I take 8 million minus 1760, that will give me 6240. That will give me 6240. And if I take the last one, 30 million minus 6600 will give me 31.2 million. 23.4 million, not 31.2. 23.4 million. 23.4 million. 23.4 million. So that's it. That's how we distribute the carrying amount. So if I take the totals here, I add all of that, it should give me the new carrying amount of the factory, 31, which is 31.2 million. And if I add all of this, it should give me the total impairment loss, which is 16.4 million. And we got the same 16.4 million up here. We got 16.4 million up here. So that is what was expected in that question. That is what was expected in that question. Let's do another example and see you in the next lesson.